Have you ever thought about a flavor you've never tasted? A food that grows completely wild, but is only known to a handful of people on the entire planet? Well, what if I told you that entire culinary worlds are vanishing, disappearing before we even get a chance to discover them? Today, we are going on a journey, and our guide is a single, fascinating research paper that's trying to uncover one of these hidden worlds before it's gone for good.
And here is our guide. Everything we're about to talk about comes from this one incredibly detailed study published in 2023. This isn't just a collection of anecdotes. It's a real scientific deep dive into the living pantry of a unique culture. It's giving us a rare and really precious window into their world.
Okay, so our journey takes us to a place called Fangchenggang. It's this remarkable region right at the southern edge of China. Picture this. You've got these lush green mountains that just sort of cascade right down to meet the ocean. It's a landscape that isn't just stunningly beautiful, but it's also absolutely bursting with biodiversity and ancient traditions.
This is the ancestral home of the Zhuang people, who are actually China's largest ethnic minority. Now, for countless generations, the wild plants of this region have been their pharmacy, their spice rack, and, their dinner table. But now, as cities expand and modern diets start to take over, that deep traditional knowledge is starting to fade.
And that raises a really crucial question, right? What is actually lost when a living library of ecological and culinary knowledge is on the verge of disappearing forever? That's the question that sits at the very heart of this entire research project.
So, the researchers set out on what was, essentially a botanical treasure hunt. They were basically racing against time to document this living library of food, and the way they did it was just as fascinating as what they found.
Get this, they sat down with 137 members of the Zhuang community. And this wasn't just, a handful of elders. They spoke with everyone, from 17-year-olds all the way up to a 94-year-old. They talked to farmers, they talked to market traders, they made sure they captured the knowledge held across every single generation. And this was not a quick trip. We're talking about intensive fieldwork that spanned more than 2 years. 2 years of meticulous market surveys, in-depth interviews, and just patient observation. That level of dedication is what it really takes to preserve this kind of knowledge. So, what was the result of all that painstaking work? Well, they documented an incredible 163 different species of wild edible plants. That's a huge, detailed catalog of foods that are still a part of the Zhuang diet, even if, for some people, it's only in their memory now. And we are talking about so much more than just salad greens here. Yeah, the largest category was wild vegetables, but look at this, 42 species used as tea substitutes, 37 different kinds of wild fruits, plus a whole bunch of spices and other unique uses. It's a complete culinary system. Diving in a little deeper, if we look at which parts of the plants they actually use, fruits are the most common. But what's really fascinating to me is the next category, the entire plant. For 33 different species, from the root to the stem to the leaf, the whole thing is a source of food. But, okay, with 163 plants on the list, how do you figure out which ones are the most important to the culture? Which ones are the true cornerstones of their diet? Well, it turns out the researchers had a pretty clever way to measure what truly matters.
They use something called the Cultural Food Significance Index, or CFSI. You can kind of think of it as a plant's cultural power ranking. It's this really smart score that combines a bunch of different factors: how many people know about it, how often they eat it, how easy it is to find, and even how good it tastes.
And here they are, the superstars. The plant with the highest score was Plantago asiatica, which is a type of Asian plantain, used as both a vegetable and a tea. Right behind it is Portulaca oleracea, a common succulent you might actually know as purslane. So these aren't just obscure plants. They are the absolute cornerstones of the local food culture.
And this is how that knowledge translates directly to what's on your plate. Take Artemisia argii. It's a type of mugwort. This quote from the research details exactly how it's used. You pound it and mix it with rice flour to make a traditional festival cake called siba. This is culture you can literally taste. The study also managed to uncover the very soul of Zhuang cuisine. It's defined by a love for sour food, a real focus on incredibly fresh ingredients, and a preference for cold dishes. This all ties back to their deep-rooted philosophy that food isn't just for sustenance, it's also a form of medicine. So, this brings us to the final and most critical part of the story, the crossroads. This deep, rich past has reached a pretty uncertain future. So, what happens now?
The research lays out this central conflict. On one hand, the threats are very real. Urbanization and modern diets are pushing this knowledge to the brink of extinction. But on the other hand, this exact same knowledge holds immense opportunity for sustainable agriculture, unique culinary tourism, and new local economies.
And the paper doesn't just end with a feeling of despair. It ends with a roadmap for hope. The researchers propose these concrete steps forward. Things like cultivating these key wild plants sustainably, doing safety studies so more people can enjoy them, and celebrating this unique culinary heritage to attract tourism that directly supports the community.
So, this entire story, meticulously documented from a remote corner of the world, leaves us with one final, really thought-provoking question. It kind of makes you wonder, what flavors, what pieces of our own history have we forgotten in our own backyards?